What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another AMC update to bring all of you this afternoon. So what we're going to be talking about in this update is just like we always do, we are going to be going over the ORTEX short interest and utilization numbers to get a better understanding of where we are at in terms of the short squeeze side of this investment going into next week's trading week. Now, we also have to do a little bit of options chain analysis. We have to look at what is going on in terms of what we have for next week in terms of the open interest in any key price levels where we could potentially see some more delta hedging by those market makers to either give us some more bullish price momentum or bearish momentum. Now, this kind of ties into that Max Payne theory that we have been talking about a lot over the last couple of weeks. And it really does play into what we saw in the Friday trading hours. And I do want to touch on that briefly as well. But the two most important things that we need to be covering in this update is, one, we have a lot of bullish catalysts going forward. And if you guys remember, Adam Aron did say in the interview this week that he was going to be releasing something over the next couple of weeks that is really going to change the way AMC operates its business. They are going to be unveiling something new. Now, we do have earnings coming up, which we've talked about a lot, but I do have an idea of what Adam Aron is working on, and I do want to share that all with you today. Now, in addition, we do have to talk about the institutional ownership changes that I am seeing in AMC right now. It is very bullish still at the current time in terms of the inflow versus the outflows of purchases or sales of AMC positions, but we are still waiting on the big kahunas BlackRock and Vanguard, and in my opinion, the most important institution, Renaissance Technology. So we have a lot of really cool information to cover, so make sure you guys stick until the end. And if you guys enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So coming over to this ORTEX data right here, let me just do a quick refresh. We are seeing the utilization 87.36%, still not high enough to really put that overweight amount of pressure on these lending institutions to really make them consider forcibly recalling a lot of those loans that they have sent out, but still relatively high in terms of any other stock in the market. Now, the estimated short interest still 16.39%. Now, I have seen a lot of people talking about the fact that AMC's short interest was over 20% a couple of weeks ago, and now it has dropped down to 16.39%. And I think a lot of people are still thinking that that means that some shorts had covered their position. That's not really what it means at all. It is entirely possible that some shorts covered a small amount of their position just in the daily flow of how these shares are getting loaned out and then returned. We are seeing some amount of return shares, and more shares are going out on loan. But what we saw when AMC's short interest was over that 20% mark was just the estimates that ORTEX was putting out. Then we got the exchange reported short interest, and then ORTEX had to update its numbers. So most likely the reported data wasn't showing AMC's short interest over that 20% mark, but that does not mean that AMC's actual short interest is not much higher than what it is right now. And when we think about what has happened with AMC's share price over the last couple of weeks, when we actually got that new exchange reported short interest number, we didn't really see any significant amount of buying pressure that would have signified that the shorts were covering their position in any form. Now, when we come over and take a look at the option chain, people are already going kind of crazy on next week's weekly expiration date. We are seeing that 94,000 contracts out of the money right now on the call side and only 1,722 contracts in the money. Now, we've been over this many times. Be very careful if you are trading weekly options on AMC. For me personally, I don't trade weekly options on AMC ever, just because the positives and negatives don't make sense to me at the current time. But it is your money. You can do whatever you want to do. I just want to make sure everybody knows the risk, the pros and cons of potentially giving liquidity to all of these institutions that we are essentially battling against. Now, coming over to this Max Payne chart right here, the Max Payne has been stepping up a little bit over the last couple of weeks. We saw it around 36, 37, 38, 39. Now we are seeing it stepped up at this $40 mark. Now, when we think about what happened last week for AMC, it wasn't really a pinning situation, in my opinion. If we were to really see the market makers trying to pin, or these option sellers trying to pin AMC at a certain price, we really would have seen AMC finish around that $40 mark. But what we did see was a very similar chart in terms of the concentration of options contracts like this. So what most likely was happening is those institutions were trying to get the most amount of call options out of the money. Now, not really sure why they would try to do this, especially last week. There can always be some different underlying things that we are not seeing as retail investors, but the fact that we saw that significant decrease on Friday with no real news coming out with the country does suggest to me that they really were trying to push the price down, and the reason for that looks like it has to do with the options chain. So now let's get into what could potentially be up Adam Aron's sleeve going into these next couple of weeks. Now, in my opinion, I think he's working at getting more movies in the theaters. Now, how would he do this? Well, a lot of people were sending me this screenshot right here, and I want to go over exactly what we're looking at. So this is a trailer for a new in-house produced Netflix movie. Now, it says here, in select theaters on November 5th and on Netflix November 12th. We have seen deals like this happening with AMC and other organizations like Warner Media in the past, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, in my mind, this is almost exactly like a payment for order flow business model. Now, just stay with me for a second. It's like AMC going to be paying for that movie flow. So when we see AMC enter into a deal with Netflix or Warner or any one of these other companies, what could most likely be happening is AMC is going to cut a deal, write Netflix a check, and hopefully make more money than they paid Netflix for the rights to show that movie in their theaters before that movie actually gets to that streaming service. So if AMC is able to do this effectively with Warner and potentially Netflix coming up in the near future, here's what this is going to mean. The short thesis, anybody who has really been outspoken against AMC over the last couple of months has essentially said streaming is going to take over and nobody wants to go to the movie theaters anymore. But you're seeing from these streaming companies that they realize the potential of getting their movies into theaters. Now, for Netflix, they also want to win some awards, so it is a win-win for them if they are able to do this in terms of them being able to get Oscars. But this is something that we really need to take a look at going forward. We are seeing so many good things with the box office numbers, and if AMC is able to add even more theaters going forward, this is going to be an awesome event. Now, again, they've done this in the past in a new deal with mega cinema chain AMC Theaters. Warner Brothers has agreed to return to an exclusive 45-day theatrical window in 2022. Now, if you guys don't know, Warner Brothers also owns HBO, so that streaming platform is going to have to wait 45 days before they can get those movies. This is awesome news, and it really just shows us that the short thesis does not hold any water at the current time. And I think this is really what a lot of people need to hear, especially over this last week with the FUD being at an all-time high. Nothing has changed with this AMC short squeeze play, and the fundamentals continuously get better. We are actually seeing things change to the upside. We are getting more positive news all the time from Adam Aron. Now, let's get into some of these institutional purchases. When we come over to Fintel, it's kind of difficult to go through this in bulk with all of these 13F filings. And again, with the way that these 13Fs are reported, they are only going to show us long calls, long puts, and long positions in terms of shares. We are not going to see any short options, meaning any options that they have sold. So sold to open calls or puts or short positions. And that is something that we are pushing towards in terms of more market transparency. But when we come over to Market Beat right now we are seeing about a $7 million inflow in terms of new AMC purchases versus $392,000 worth sold in the third quarter. These numbers are going to change drastically over the next couple of weeks. And it's really going to give us a better insight into what these institutions are doing. Remember in the last quarter when we had this basically time window right here for the second quarter, we had this massive run up and it sold off, and we saw the institutional purchases really ramp up. If we start to see a lot of institutional buys around these levels, it is going to tell us that, one, the institutions are not only still bullish on AMC going forward, But if these are the institutions that have been in AMC for a while, they obviously see that it can go higher than $72 a share or $77 a share if they are continuously buying at these levels, which again is another really bullish thing that we have to keep a lookout for. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I'm trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.